I always seem to forget the title of the album. It's Beyond the End of Despair. Okay, so welcome to the next episode of Beyond the End of Despair. Today we're gonna listen to Raid Again. The story in this album seemed to have picked up speed very rapidly. Like, we seem to go rather strong on those Yamabi registers, how I would call them. It's like a very aggressive sound, but it also had a cool atmosphere actually. Okay, that's a straight up very cool progression. So we had this like hook at the beginning, this very short thing, which I found actually pretty basic. Like, it didn't say really much. But then from the point the main melody was introduced, I was digging it quite a bunch. And this verse, it was like even more powerful than probably the last song. We seem to be very much in battle mode here, which is also an interesting distinction compared to the last album, because, you know, theme-wise, there is quite of a difference. We have very much this raw and aggressive element here in like the first two songs already, while in the preceding albums we had those instances as well, but it seemed like they were moving between more abstract moods before, while now you clearly have the feeling of being in a battle in some sense. Also, as I said, the melody, how it like progressed, it was very satisfying, to be honest. I want to listen to that verse again, actually. I really dig the mood they're instantly building here when the verse starts. It's like instantly feelable, although you haven't even heard the chords at this point. That's very cool. Some movement and the strings in the background. Wow, there's quite a bit to say here. Wow, I don't know why I don't remember. I remember like a few bits of the song, but like not very much, honestly. That's really good stuff, dude. I think we can start off with that short stop we had there. We had that chopped up transition. It's something I think Rhapsody, or now they're called Rhapsody of Fire, it's something I heard them doing quite a lot, because they seem to entertain this mostly medieval kind of style, and somehow this fits the bill for that. I don't know why though, but this is pretty much exactly what they did here. there's a really weird way they're like putting the accents in his speech, right? This is something I think I remember that irritated me back then. It's not hooking very much because the intonations are a bit like weird, but that could be very much intentional actually if you're having like a battle situation. So at this point, I'm finding it pretty interesting. If you like listen to this, we have this like holy night in a fast repetition, and then this 3-part flowing way of saying a word which is just like one syllable. Very satisfying. Whoa. Like very heavy chops in the background. Whoa! Again, I'm not really catched by this like little hook they're constantly repeating. But that was an extremely cool solo section actually. It had this really heavy sound for most of the time. It was very aggressive and it had a lot of interesting stuff actually. And the chorus, this is one of those occasions, I can't even remember another one we had so far. You know, sometimes power metal songs especially have this. I can't remember that any other genre actually has moments like this when we have a pre-chorus which already sounds as satisfying as a chorus. So we have like this chorus experience and then afterwards something even better follows. And I think this is something this song actually does. And I really like that, especially if it works as well as it does here. Circle of the fire. I just like how pressed his voice sounds and just the little raspy mixes in there. It's like a really good way to tune his voice. I don't know, it works very well with what they're trying to achieve here, or what they seem to try to achieve here at least. The high strings in the background, very cool. Also a bit of like this hashed resolution, which also had a bit of medieval feeling. It again reminded me a bit of Rhapsody actually. Yeah, we're constantly having this mood here. It's pretty cool. Just from a mere aesthetic consistency, I think this is the strongest album so far, chronologically speaking, because it has this like consistency which we didn't have as clearly in the albums before. That's something I noticed for sure. Just ponders a bit here. And if you hear the chords in the background, it's we're starting off the solo already with kind of having the upper hand in the battle. It sounds very, you know, satisfying, driving. I don't know what other words we can use for that, but it's quite apparent, let's say that. That's a badass entry. And like reintroduction back to the main melody, or at least that ballpark. That was a very cool rhythm kind of thing with his voice. It sounded a bit like, what's a good word for it? It sounded kind of Chad, you know, it sounded like, okay, dude, I don't have to speed. I don't have to adapt to your rhythm. I'm just gonna do it in my pace. Just to outline this for a second, that's just really cool. This like 3-part progression we have here. Very heartfelt melodic element here. And then this short double pedal burst, which frees things up a bit. Whoa, sounds very cool and is a lot of fun actually to listen to. And then the stop, I don't know, it just makes for a very cool dynamic. Yes. I'm obviously not trying to imitate this, but like the way he plays around with the words, the fire, the way he extends the fire with those grumblings afterwards, I think he fits the archetype of what they're going for here very well. This alignment with the character and the singer does wonders. Oh, I think that was something cool. First of all, I liked how that section started. I think we have heard it before. Was it the pre-chorus? I can't remember. I think it was the pre-chorus. We have this like open background and there, and with the strings we have this a lot of space. I think he sings something about the darkness, or it sounds like night, but we still have this rhythm that's open, but it still has that aggression with the Yamabi in it. And there seems to be a roar of the guitar. I've noticed that before, that they're doing this every time. I kind of have to think about this dragon, obviously. You know, that seems to be the most obvious thing. And how the strings in the background progress here, you know, they're opening up and flying. We have this moody night theme again, like night with an N, not with a K. I'm starting to dig this. That was very good. That was... Was I the only one hearing that? We had something like a strike in the background and his voice just exploded there. Whoa. Whoa. That was cool. That wailing guitar in the end also sounded like some kind of beast there. There's a lot of finesse in the way this is put together. It sounds all like very polished, very intentional. Also like has this, as I said, consistent atmosphere. And we just have those bits which are just absolutely impressive. I like this orchestral hit, or I don't know what it was, this like explosion moment. It works extremely well. It just sounds really good, you know, all of that stuff. The way the chorus is put together in the end in a more full blown manner than it was before, all those little details. It's really good. It's a really good song. I think the only thing that didn't catch me initially when I listened to this a few years ago probably was probably that the chorus ended in a way that wasn't as hooking as I would have liked it. But I think I'm able to see now what they were actually going for. And it's like, this just worked for me right now. I'm really impressed. And I honestly didn't expect to be this blown away after the first song we have listened to. It's me from the future real quick, just in case the lighting or something is different. Someone from the last time who mentioned they want to change their random channel name so it's readable, has worked so far, I suppose. Mentioned an interesting thing in this regard, namely that Raid Again is actually composed by Yamabi himself. I think that's a thing worth mentioning if that's actually the case. If Yamabi has composed the song by himself, this also means he had a lot of control in how to present his voice, which makes it even more interesting in this regard, which is why I wanted to read it. And just real quick, I don't really want to make a kind of competition out of this, bringing comments into the video. And I think it's a pretty fun thing to actually go into the comment section under every song and just see what people have to share about it. But just in case something is relevant for the current episode or something, I might pick out, you know, some comments to read them. But yeah, that's it. Let's see what the lyrics say. I'll burn you away, crack the wall of hate, let the fight begin, to know why we live in this providence. I cannot make a lot of sense out of this at this point, but we have a lot of like catchy phrases there which work very well with this powerful voice, like crack the wall of hate. That's some real death metal stuff here, you know? I'll burn you away. We have, of course, this consistent fire theme here. I mean, just look at the album cover. This matches very well with his vocals also. Since the day we met, I've kept fighting into the wind. I don't need a false. The flame is calling me. Beware of the night. I'll never step aside. We'll overcome. No one can stop the raid. Cool imagery. We have already a feeling of very urgent narrative. We have a raid here. I've kept fighting into the wind. I don't need a false. That's an interesting, I don't know what it means exactly, but it could mean something symbolic, or it could also mean that all I have fought before was just nothing really. In a sense of what we're doing now is the actual important stuff, and everything that seemed important before, all the struggles we went through, they brought us here, but it was basically nothing. We achieved nothing with that. The flame is calling me sounds pretty cool. Beware of the night. We'll overcome. No one can stop the raid. I swear in this holy night, I'll never die until the end. Into the fight of hell and glory, now the light is calling me. See the circle of the fire. We're here to burn up all the night. Whatever they're doing here, it creates a holy experience. This just points at the alignment with what they're doing and the supposed purpose of what they should be doing. It seems to be they are in alignment with some kind of legend, which they weren't before, because they were struggling to find what they are even supposed to do in some way, right? Now we have a lot of clarity, or I think necessarily we have to have a lot of clarity if we are going this aggressively at some kind of enemy. I'll never die until the end. That's an interesting way to put it, you know. Of course, if I die, that's the end, so duh. But I think how it's supposed to mean is there is a predetermined end, again pointing at this legend, and I won't die until I've fulfilled my purpose as the hero of that legend. Maybe something like this. Into the fight of hell and glory. That's a cool distinction. We again have this hell, fiery thing, but opposing it to this glimmering golden glory that was, I think, outlined very much in the first album. Now the light is calling me, see the circle of the fire. We don't know what circle of fire this is, but we don't have to know. We just know it's something, you know, important. And that's enough to know for us. We're here to burn up all the night. So the night is clearly attributed to the enemy. Something, I think, you know, we had like shadows and darkness in the first album especially, which was attributed to the enemy. And it was opposed to, you know, the protagonist's army, characterized as lightning. You know, we had a storm which was rolling over the enemy, and they were characterized by lightning, or their blades were characterized by lightning. Everything about them pretty much. And this spark seemed to have catch fire now, and we're here to burn up all the night. We don't just bring light and make the night day. No, we're completely eradicating the night. Rain falls in the darkness. A blast voice calls the power. Now the time to receive the judgment for the might, for the liberty. Into the heat, we are soldiers. Into the heat, we are warriors. We get the force of the steel that will never give up. In the night, we just raid you again. And again, I strongly sense a subversion to how things were before and how they're now. In the first album especially, we had this overmighty enemy force which just kept returning no matter how often you try to oppose it. And at this point, it's just like the army of heroes, which seem to be led by the protagonist, seems to have taken that role. No matter what you do, you cannot stop us. We're gonna return every time you try to strike us down, and we're not gonna go anywhere. Rain falls in the darkness. That's a pretty cool image and line. A blast voice calls the power. That's what Yamabi has done in this song, definitely. Now the time to receive the judgment for the might, for the liberty. Yeah, I think liberty was what they wanted to begin with, like all this time. That was the main goal in some sense. In the night, we just raid you again. If the night is like the domain of the enemy, it's just interesting that the enemy is raided in the night. It's such a complete 180-degree turn here. And then we have a lot of repetition. We have this: since the day we met, I've kept fighting into the wind. I don't need a false. Just those 3 lines. I don't know. They are a bit of interest. Like, I don't need a false. It seems to make sense. I can't like completely grasp it, but you know, in connection with this, I've kept fighting into the wind. But yeah, very cool, of course. Then we have, I swear in this holy night, I'll never die until the end. And then we have 2 times the chorus, and that's pretty much it. This is honestly a very cool song. I also like the lyrics a lot. It's very clear what they're telling here, what the story is. And it's just a lot of fun so far, this album. Yeah, I'm excited for the next episodes. I hope you are as well.